I
All
was
right.
talking to an employee here. I came to the lab instead.
Oh no, it's all right. You can hear me very well. I can hear you very well.
Yeah.
All right. So I wanted to bring you on because I felt like last year you were probably one of the most standouts to turn pro and one of the best overall winners I feel like, in my opinion, that I saw in all of 2024. So I'm happy to have you on here.
Thank you. I'm excited. I'm excited to get to know you better as well. Honestly, I absolutely love your page. Like I'm always getting all my, all my facts from there. Like I feel like you run it so well. So yeah, I'm excited to talk to you.
So about me, I just love the bikini division. I feel like I like the physiques that people wanted to look like. That's what got me into into bodybuilding is because the more of the aesthetic kind of a look, and it's like more appealing. When
Yeah.
bikini first started, I don't know if you remember, it was around 2009, 2010. I was a freshman in high school, so you probably can guess how old I am.
Really?
So yeah, the first one they had was in 2010, and it was kind of like, how do you say, like Victoria's Secret model look, and I
Yeah.
didn't like it. I didn't like how
Yeah.
they posed, like when you know how, remember they girls would pose like that. They're like so slanted. It's like someone snapped their back in half.
I think
I'm
it
just
was
like,
kind of
that
like
looks
the
uncomfortable.
European style, no? Like what it
Yeah,
is now, somewhat.
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't. I can. I'm gonna share my screen. I'm gonna show you like let's see, Sonia, I believe.
Yeah.
She was the first ever winner.
I don't think I've ever seen the actual first ever winner. When I started bikini, it was when Natalia Mello was like the first
Yes.
bikini
Yeah.
Olympian.
She was the third one to win it because it was Sonia, Nicole, and then Natalia. And Natalia kept
And
getting
that kind of
second in
is
the
like a
first couple.
transition from figure, right?
It kind of looks like how figure was. So let me
Yeah.
see. This was Sonia. This was I think 2012, I believe. But I think this was the first ever Olympia. You seeing it?
Yeah, she has a nice shape, but like you said, the posing is like so different, right?
I think a good example was Nicole. Yeah, how they like did like that. I just didn't like it. Just looked uncomfortable.
Yeah. It just looks like more like freestyle. There wasn't really like much mandatory, I suppose.
Yeah. It was just front, back, and then it became more of a routine when like Natalia and then Ashley started winning.
Yeah. Once Ashley came around, I feel like it definitely got more of a routine and like, okay, this is for sure the three poses we have to hit, you know?
Yeah.
Natalia was still a little bit more freestyle, but I feel like Ashley definitely set more of a standard of what the posing should look like.
Natalia, Mello.
Her physique was very impressive too, though. Her glutes were amazing.
I know, right?
I love her glutes.
So you know how I got into like liking it. So and I answered this on the Q&A. I'm going to post it because I didn't want to, because I talked about Cash and how I think he's one of the greatest coaches, but I wanted to keep that like after the Arnold. So I talked about how I got into bikini because that was one of the questions I got asked. So I was in college in my first year and I was watching the 2013 Olympia, and that was the one India Paulino won the Arnold and Dexter Jackson won the Arnold. They both got fifth in that Olympia. But
Okay.
that was the one Olympia where Phil Heath, Steve Weinberger's like, Phil, go back in line. And it was just one and done at prejudging. Because I was kind of like watching, like, well, this is disappointing. I've only seen that twice. I've seen that
Yeah, I
on the
think I
Olympia
know what
stage, and then
you're
I've seen it
talking
in an
about.
NPC show
Yeah.
where it's like they at prejudging. It's like the first place guy. It's like Steve Larius in a classic. He was doing a show just to get nationally qualified for North Americans, and the prejudging, he's like, number 108, get off stage right now. And I was like,
No
what's going
way.
on? And then he came back later. He did his routine. He had the Transformers theme coming on, and then your overall winner, Steve Larius. I was like, they've already decided it. That was the
Yeah, they
first
had
time
a
I've
race.
ever witnessed it. When that happened to Phil, I was like, well, this is disappointing. So then I was going to watch Saturday, and I'm like, you know what? I'll watch Bikini. And the biggest talk was Natalia Mello because she was defending her title.
Mhm.
And I remember them saying that she didn't look at her best and she may not be keeping her title after today. So I was like, oh, so they're gonna have a new champion for this division. And the top five, I think, was top six. I think was Amanda, India got fifth, Natalia got fourth, Stacey Alexander was third, and so this newcomer, they said it was her first Olympia. It was Ashley,
It was Ashley.
and yeah, it was
Is
her
that where
first
she
Olympia.
won? Is
Yeah, that
that
was
the
the year
one
she
she
won
won?
2013. Yeah, and so I was like, okay. Second was Yashaira from
You
Puerto
should.
Rico.
Yeah.
Yeah, you say it much better. See, I took
You
3 years
should.
of
Yeah,
Spanish.
probably because I'm Hispanic. Yeah.
Yashaira Robles.
Uh-huh.
So I was like, okay, Yashaira or Ashley. I'm like, well, she won a couple shows, and then they said Yashaira second, and then Ashley. I don't think she realized she just won. She was crying. She was getting emotional, and when I tell her that, I even tell Ashley even to this day, when she won and she had the trophy in her hand, she just didn't know how to respond. She's like looking left, she's looking
She's like,
right,
are you serious?
and she's like, I don't know what to do. I saw her mouth those words, and then she's like, just pose for the, and they're like telling her to pose for the, so she held the trophy, and she's like,
I did it. One and done, guys. One and done.
and I was like, okay, so this is interesting. And then I followed it since, and then she went to the Arnold and won that Arnold in 2014. I was like, it's a risk for her to be an Olympia champion, then go to the Arnold, and then every year it was like a new champion. And so I was like very interested to see what she was going to do to defend her title at the Olympia. And she was the first one to ever successfully defend her title.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, now bikini's getting really interesting. I'm like, I actually like this. Actually, if people like the physique, if people want to look like that, and they're like, that's the physique I want, that's what I feel like it should be about. Because, and even me, people talk about Classic taking over Open. I can't, unfortunately, because of weight gap, but people like the look and the physique because they're like, I want to look like that. I want the best quality look. And yeah, that's what got me into liking Classic and bikini, because Classic came around in 2016.
Yes.
And we've only had 3 guys win it. But that's just kind of me, how I got into bikini.
Yeah,
I
I
just
was
like the
wondering that, honestly.
oh,
I was definitely wondering what your background was. I was like, has he coached?
Yeah, I do coach. I have 4 athletes right now, and they're kind of around your age, around like in the early 30s. Because I'd rather have someone who's more mature, that's versus someone that's like, it's harder to coach a younger person. Yeah. Not everyone has their stuff together, and we're gonna get into that when we talk about it. But I feel like if people want that kind of look, they want to work hard for it. And it was more energy because like, come on, front, back, put some energy. Don't make me narcoleptic. I want to see something like exciting, and that's what got me into watching it. I was like, okay.
And so now you have like the perfect eye for it.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And I think that's what really, like, your passion, and you're like, okay, I like the fact that people like to train and they like to go hard, because back then people wanted to look like Victoria's Secret. They're like, ew, I don't like sweating, or I don't like muscles. Now you're just like, oh, no one wants to look like a skinny Victoria's Secret. Back then it was like asparagus and fish was your diet, and I just looked, that is so unhealthy. You don't see that anymore, but that was now people are much better with nutrition because we're better educated. We're not going through extreme measures, and if you are going to go into the PD route, like we are going to talk about that, you kind of know what you're getting into, and you're not doing things without any consideration. But all in all, I wanted to kind of know about you, because you've been in the NPC for some time now, and before you turned pro. So about you, how you got into competing, and what got you started.
So I started back in 2013 was my first show. So yeah, definitely a while. Initially, I just basically wanted to get in better shape, going to the gym and whatnot. I was a young mom, so that was definitely like motivating for me to just get myself in good shape and feel like confident in my skin and whatnot. And then I just pretty much got like recruited from like local, gym trainers and local gym owners to compete at a local show here in El Paso, Texas. And then I ended up winning an overall my first show here. And I was like, wow, I'm pretty good at this, And after that, I pretty much just got hooked, to be honest. I just, kept going and going and going.
So you said you're a teenage mom at one point. How old were you when you had your first child?
So I was 15 with my first child, and then I was 17 with my second. And yeah, that was crazy. So that was definitely, something to basically overcome at such a young age, to like figure out how to do things, as a young parent, and finish high school and everything. And I ended up going to college and whatnot. So yeah, I was extremely young.
And how is that like? How has that been like? Your family now eats healthier, better. They're making better decisions because of how
Oh
they see
yeah, for
you as like the
sure.
role model.
Yes, for sure. My kids, honestly, there was this one time that we went to like a diner, and my son is like, "Why does this bacon taste so different?" And I was like, "Well, because it's not turkey bacon, because that's all they've ever known." Like I don't deprive them, of course, but they definitely eat healthier. Like they've just always grown up with it. Because again, when I started competing, my kids were 2 and 4. So that's like always been their lifestyle. And now they both go to the gym regularly. Like they could go to the gym and train on their own and they're just fine. They know they have to make protein a priority. They both just pretty much live in the lifestyle without, the actual bodybuilding aspect of it.
Yeah, and that's really great that they see you in their role model. Even your husband. I actually noticed this. You have a meal prep company.
Yes, I do. I have a meal prep company here in El Paso, Texas. We're actually right now getting ready to open our second location. So it's a
That's
little
cool.
crazy right now. Yeah, we're in the works of opening a location across town. So yeah, thankfully it's been very successful. We were open in Amarillo, Texas for 7 years, and then we relocated back to El Paso, and we opened up here again. And yeah, it's been going really well for us, thankfully.
That's cool. I need to try. I need to try this. I really do. I've only
Honestly,
had
you would love it.
um
It's like a combination of
I've had
like macro balanced and healthy with
yeah.
top, culinary chefs. So yeah, it's awesome.
I've only had locally here because I go to DMVI and I've had DMV bites. They do like halal stuff and they also do meal preps. And then I've had Mighty Meals. They're local here, and I've had Trifecta. I've never done what's it Megafit. I've never done Long Life or anything else, but I've I like to try everything and see what works for me. But yeah,
Yeah,
all this
for
stuff looks good.
sure.
So what got you started on this? Was it because you wanted to have something that you liked and you didn't like what was out there?
Yeah, definitely. When we were in Amarillo, Texas, it was around the time when I first started tracking macros. I had a little bit of an issue for a couple years with binge eating after my shows. So it was barely when the macro trend was starting to come up with BioLane, and I learned to track macros or whatnot for about a year or so. And then my husband started doing it, and then he loved it. And he's like, he's basically always been an entrepreneur. He's like, hey, why don't we just start a meal prep here? Because in Amarillo, Texas, there wasn't any at all. And we did it again with the macros and concept and whatnot. And, obviously, he's actually a really great cook, and we hired cooks there. And yeah, it just took off from there. So, but yeah, it was definitely because of the fact that I found it to be a type of lifestyle that is more, something that people could sustain year round versus like bro dieting, where it's like you said, chicken, fish, tilapia, that kind of thing. It's definitely a lot harder for most people, like the regular gym goer, to stick to that like a good amount of time throughout the year. That's why you see people like falling off and then putting on a ton of weight. So this concept definitely helps, like I said, more of the people that are just looking to maintain a healthier lifestyle year round and can actually, stick to it pretty much.
Okay. Yeah, it's good. So I know there are coaches that do macro tracking or they just do meal plans like these are the foods I like, and then they'll just change the amount. But that's really good. I think that's really creative, and what you're doing is phenomenal, especially contribute to this industry. And it's great if people don't have time to even cook and they have something right there and you do. It's like, do you have like certain days where you can prep like every Sunday and then you can pick up Wednesday, or you can order today and you can pick up certain days? Is that something that you do for your company?
Yes, so we actually cook every single day. Right now, we're handling about 1,000 meals a day. So yeah, it's crazy. For pre-orders, we do it pretty much every day except for 2 days out of the week. But basically, you could always walk into the store and purchase, or you could pre-order, like I said, 5 days out of the week. Pre-order and you pick up the next day.
Okay. So, and also I do notice that you have a thing for pit bulls. You also,
Yes,
um, you have how many? Five?
yeah, I'm a bit of a dog freak, just a little bit.
And you're like always helping out with adoptions and stuff, even with, and you're always helping out in the community.
Yes, I try to like when we have events here for the lab and whatnot, or even just like when I have like things going on through online coaching. I try to like bring the rescues into it, to basically give back to rescues, local rescues, whether it be through money, helping people with food that might need like dog food or whatnot. Just little things that we can do to help out the dogs here in the community. I don't think a lot of people realize that we basically have a crisis going on in America right now with dogs, and the shelters being just extremely full. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm all about just like spreading awareness on all of that.
I was like noting it that the big one was like that one that stood out. Which this is Pablo right
Oh,
here.
yeah. Yeah, so Pablo, I actually rescued him from California
Aw.
because he was about to be euthanized, and I just saw him and I completely fell in love with him. So yeah, they basically brought him all the way over here for us. And yeah, he's amazing. Like there's never a dull moment with that dog because he's just always getting into something. It's hilarious.
Yeah, my neighbor, he used to have what do you call those really big ones? It was like a brindle coat, English Mastiff. Thing
Okay.
was about like 36, about almost 3 feet tall, and it was like 230.
No
That's
way.
huge.
Yeah,
And
that's huge.
they had a, they had an English bulldog as well, and then they had one Rottweiler, one Bull Mastiff, and what's it? Scooby Doo, Great Dane. So they were a large
Oh
dog
yeah, I
person.
love those. Those are so cute. I love the Great Danes.
But he didn't crop. But they didn't crop the ears on it, so they had like the ears down. So
Yeah, the floppy one.
yeah, they didn't crop the ears. They're just like, I don't have to do that. But the
Yeah.
Rottweiler, that one did not had its tail docked, but they loved their dogs. And I remembered like the large one would start barking, and then the little ones would go, oh, he's doing it. I'm just gonna go join. And they would continue. They would just repeat what the bigger ones were doing. The smaller
Oh
ones would
yeah,
copy what the big one.
I love dogs. Honestly,
Oh
like
yeah.
they just bring so much like happiness. They're definitely they're definitely like you have to take care of them. Obviously, you have to like walk them and everything. Especially like mine, they're very active. They're pit bulls, so I have to make sure I'm constantly walking them and whatnot. But it's definitely worth it, honestly.
And all they do with them, because they're larger, was just walk around the block. That's it. Because that's not a dog
Really?
that would walk very long. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. They were a little bit more of the I just want to relax dog.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
So you said you started you started competing in 2013, and then, if I don't recall, did you do North Americans one year and a couple years ago?
I did it, I want to say 4 times. I did it the first year I got fourth place, third place. Uh, one year I did not place, I got second call outs. And then the last time that I did North Americans, I got second place,
I
which was
do think
2023.
2023.
Oh, I'm sorry, 2022. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say I remembered you, and I think that was you. Was it when they had that fire backdrop? That was like, it made people's tans look so bad. Because I remembered my boy Brandon Barrow, who turned pro in 2023 at the Olympia Amateur. He did USA's against the same. He was in the same class as Beef Stew,
Okay.
and his tan was bad at USA, so he got second in the class. And Beef Stew won the class, because Open's different versus like other classes where it's like two win a class. So he took second there. Beef Stew won the overall, and then he did North Americans. He got fourth, and I think I saw you there, and you did take second in the class. And I remember, that's why I see, like, I always look at some of the NPC classes, and I'm always trying to find that standout. And I'm like, that was you. I was thinking, wait a minute, and then you won Universe. I was like, isn't that the same one? So that
No
was
way.
you.
Honestly, you have
Yeah.
an amazing memory and like you're really good at names because I'm terrible. I won't remember. I will not remember. But no, yeah, I don't doubt it probably was me. Yeah, that was my first year competing with James, 2022. And it was like very close, but no, yeah, the other girl took it that year. And it was kind of tricky. It was one of those tricky moments where I wasn't sure what position I was in, right?
Yeah.
And then when I came off the stage, Jigs was like, I'm sorry. I was like, no. Okay, I guess I didn't get it. So the following year, I had always wanted to do universe. Like I had it in mind, like I want to do universe. I want to do universe this year. Like I was always attracted to that show. So finally, 2024, we were ready on time, and it felt like the stars just aligned. Everything went right, like makeup, hair, suit, tan, everything was perfect. And yeah, it was amazing. Definitely like one of those days that I'll never forget.
So can I ask you? And I know I did watch some parts with Celeste. Do you feel like you're more better now in 2025 versus 3 years ago when you were in North Americans, where you felt like you should have been turned pro? Do you feel like you're much
Um,
better mentally, physically than
from
before?
2022, you mean the last time that I did North Americans?
Yes.
Honestly, I think the only difference, well, it's kind of tricky, not to go too much into detail, but pretty much that year, yeah, I guess mentally, I wasn't 100% because it was when we were making the move from Amarillo to El Paso again, which
Yeah.
moving is a lot, right? I had just won an overall in Texas Pro, which was the very show that I did with James. And then we decided to move right between those two shows. So, yeah, I think that affected me. Physically, I think I might have put on some muscle. But I think overall, more than anything, it was just like you said, my mindset during that time span, that month of difference from getting from Amarillo to El Paso, it was difficult. So I probably wasn't 100% mentally for the last North American show. And then also, I think my look, you know what I mean? Like my tan,
Yeah.
my suit, my makeup, everything was just a lot better for Universe.
Yeah. And so,
I
go
Sorry,
ahead.
go ahead.
Oh, you
I
go.
think muscle wise, honestly, I don't know. Could have been maybe a little bit of a difference. More than anything is going to be like the difference on how I peaked, I would say, you know. But
Hmm.
muscularity wise, I don't think there was a huge difference. It was mostly the peaking because of the stress that I was under going into North Americans.
Okay. So when you turned pro at Universe, like how was that feeling? Even just you got your pro card and then you win the overall. How was that feeling?
Oh my
Like
gosh, it
after
was
after so
amazing.
many years and being at the age that you are right now. I hope you don't take the wrong
It
way.
was definitely amazing because I kid you not, I told my husband that year, like, if I don't get it this year, I'm done competing, you know? So it was definitely surreal. And especially with getting an overall on top of that, I think James posted that I beat, I don't know, like 280 some girl, something like that. That's definitely crazy. It's like, wow, it's just kind of like reassurance. For me, it was reassurance from God to know that I was like on the right track, continuing to compete. And, that I was like, competitive enough, right, to move on to the next round, basically. So yeah, it was definitely more than anything reassuring to me because I was already at that point where I was like, if it doesn't happen this year, I don't know anymore. So yeah, it was surreal, pretty much.
All right. So I I always ask people this question because I always say like we have to have a plan like what you want to do in a couple of years and what do you hope to do with this when you turn pro. And I have a disclaimer every video, so I wanted to ask this question like when you were right there in that top five, top places, almost to try to like turn pro. At what point were you like, maybe I have to go into the PED route? Was it because just to like have a competitive edge, or was it because there was just something hard for you just to get off? Because I feel like you have a great look.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I honestly, I had already been, kind of thinking about it for quite some time prior to jumping into the PED route because I would show up to national shows and I was just like, something's not aligning. You know what I mean? More than anything for me, I always struggled with the tie-in because I'm very bottom heavy. So that area, like I was literally looking at some pictures and maybe I'll post them again of the last time that I competed naturally at a national show, which was, let me see, 2022, 2021, I believe, which was with Paravelia at the time, and my tie-in was just not existent. And again, I would look at the other girls that were turning pro at the national stages and I could clearly see the difference, you know what I mean? And at that
Yeah.
point, that's where I was already like, okay, I think I've done as much as I could as a natural athlete, but there's certain areas that are not going to be doable for me staying natural because I was killing myself. You know,
Yeah.
I was doing 2.5 hours of cardio. So
Yeah.
yeah, like I was definitely pushing myself as much as I could, but it was just like that little area that just wouldn't push through, you know? And that's what basically made me make that change to just go down the PD route.
Yeah, and I always tell people like, if you're like right there, if it's just that one little thing, then maybe consider. But be it when you're more mature versus when you're more younger in your 20s, you're gonna do things recklessly. I
Yeah.
even have people ask me for that's the first thing that ask me when they've never competed at all. Like, what should I take? What should I like? How, like, can you prescribe? I'm like, build for many years and then be as natural as you possibly can. And then if you decide you want to go to the pro and you're gonna pro league and do this for a long period of time, understand what you're getting into, but do it the right way, but don't do it excessive. Because I think a lot of times they you see a lot of these younger athletes, they kind of take it a little too further and they get that viralization look. And I've
Yeah.
listened to like John Jewett, I've listened to Corey Hageman, I've kind of heard what they've had to say about it. It's like only when you're like you understand what you're getting into and you're doing it the right way, less is more is what I always tell my athletes. Even anybody I work with, anybody, even my athlete or not, I always say less is more. And don't do things where it's like you're going to harm yourself, and don't strain yourself. Just take it like one show at a time, and don't put it like all this pressure on yourself to expect yourself to win every single time. But I always say it like, if it's you being in late in your age, do you feel like how long you want to go with this, and how many years do you think you're going to be trying to be in the
I
pro league?
definitely don't see myself competing past 40, to be honest. Like, I don't see myself
Okay.
going down the master's direction. You know, I just don't. Again, I've been doing it since I was 23 now. So, yeah, it's over 10 years, right? It's like, let me see. You know what I mean? I'm pushing like 13 years in the bodybuilding industry. So if I stick around for, let's say, another 3, 5 more years, I'd be looking at a good 16 years in the bodybuilding industry. So yeah, I don't see
Yeah.
myself going past 40, to be honest. And, there's always other things that, of course, I want to do as well, venture into other businesses. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's like my cap. So for me, that's another reason why I decided to just go ahead and go down the PD route, because I did realize like, hey, I've already capped out my muscle. There's still a huge difference between myself and the winners. Let's just go ahead and, go full force, try that
Yeah.
route and see how it goes, right? So that's what I did. But honestly, I will say, again, I started when I was 23. I'm 35. I do feel like I took a little too long to kind of go that direction. I do wish I would have done it maybe 2, 3 years sooner, because now I'm like, okay, I'm 35. I don't have much time to do something with my pro card. So I do feel a little bit like I have to like get things done like now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if I was 2, 3 years prior to this, maybe in my early 30s, I wouldn't probably feel that way, right? I wouldn't feel so much pressure to like make something of myself now.
Yeah.
But
No,
yeah,
and
to
you've
me, it's
built
like
great
it's something I
businesses. Yeah.
want to do. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, you've built great businesses. You've had pretty, even outside of the stage, you've done pretty well, I'd say, for yourself. And that's great that you want to continue to grow your, not only with competing and on the stage, but outside the stage, your business ventures that can really help
Yeah.
you. It gives you many opportunities as well.
Yes, definitely. Honestly, like I owe a lot to bodybuilding, regardless of how long it took me. Like, not only does bodybuilding completely change your perspective, like as an individual, becoming obviously more disciplined, hardworking, just having like a go-getter mindset. But prior to like the meal prep, I was doing online coaching for years. I started in personal training around 2014, and then I ventured off into online coaching, which I successfully did for 7 years. So I did really well with online coaching as well too. So yeah, I'm very grateful to the sport, like all around.
So when I looked at you, and I'm gonna get on this, but I think with James, it sounded like you guys kind of connected, and I kind of looked at your physique, and a lot of things I see in you is similar to Evie Eskandar and Adriana Kazmarek. I don't know if you know who they are.
No, are they in the earlier stages?
Oh no, they're Olympians. They've been multiple time Olympian. Evie Eskandar.
Oh yes, I love Evie. She's also with James, right?
Yes, and Adriana Kazmarek, she's from Poland. You have like a similar look to. If I can just show you who I'm talking
Is she
about.
the one that won Europa last year?
Yes,
Yes, I do
you
remember
have
her.
like a similar look to. I think when I look at you, it's like a similar look. So I feel like maybe I'm right or wrong about this, but I feel like James is good with like that kind of like physique type because you have like because you're how tall are you? Can I ask?
I'm 5'2.5". I'm short.
What?
Yeah.
Pictures are deceiving. I thought you were like 5'5", 5'4".
I wish, honestly. I think if I would have been a little bit taller, I would have gotten my pro card a little faster.
So it's, you know what I'm talking about? Like I think the height and like longer torso, shorter legs, you kind of have that similar look to her. To her.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know it's funny when you said that the last time you're like you just have a long torso. I was like, oh my god, how come I've never noticed that? He's absolutely right. I've never noticed what it was, but yeah, you're right. I do have a very long torso too. Oh yeah, I love her physique. She's amazing.
And then Evie.
Evie is just like mind blowing. Like her posing, everything. She just has such an amazing wow factor,
And
and
one
she's
thing I
also
noticed with her,
Mexican,
yeah.
right?
Oh no, she's from Argentina but lives in Spain.
Oh, okay, she's Argentinian. Okay.
She said, and this is how it's kind of because her first, one of her first shows was Republic of Texas, and that's when I first, and that was her debut in the U.S. And she was 30, and she was going to turn 35 that week.
I
Actually, no,
saw
she
that you
turned.
posted that. I saw that you posted that. And I was like, oh my God, that makes me feel so much better. No joke. I was like, wow, I have hope.
Yeah, she started. I mean, can you believe she has the same amount of pro wins as Angelica, 13.
Really? I didn't
Yeah,
know that. I honestly had not ran into her profile or her until I saw her on James's profile. And I was
but
just like, wow, she's like mesmerizing. I love her posing.
yeah, I was gonna say like you have a similar kind of look to her, like and her and Adriana. So I kind of feel like that physique type works very well, and and I think you're gonna be very successful with James because you have that similar kind of look, and it's obviously something that can easily be worked with. But yeah,
Thank you.
she started late. You know, I say it's never too late. People get discouraged because they're like, you know, they're in their 30s and they look at younger 20s. No, you're more mature physically, mentally, and it's kind of like you know what you want, being at the
Yeah,
age
I
that you
agree.
are.
Like I said, if it wasn't because I started a long time ago, you know what I mean? I just don't see myself going past 40. But if I would have
Yeah.
started, like I said, 28 or whatnot, then I probably would be like, okay, let's, keep going or whatnot.
Yeah.
No, yeah,
But
she's amazing. I love her physique.
so your idol when you started was Natalia Mello?
I think I just was like, wow, her glutes are amazing. I want my glutes to look like that when I first started. And then
But you're
Ashley
way
came
past
into it.
that.
That what?
You're way past that now.
You think so?
Yeah.
No. No, I
Natalia?
think I think that Dahlia still has like well, I don't know about now her physique, but compared to then, I think she kind of had similar glutes to Ashley now, don't you think? Like she's just freakishly bubbly in that area.
Cause she has shorter glute insertions. That's the thing with Ashley. She has the density, but she has shorter glute insertions versus like India Paulino, who has more longer glute insertions. Like the physique, they didn't have like the etched in like inserts versus what you see now. Like India Paulino, you know, Issa, Amy, they kind of have that longer glute insertion
Hmm. No, yeah, that's true. Because I
versus
actually saw Ashley. Well, I've seen Ashley in person a few times, but this time I saw her at my pro debut, and I just looked at her glutes and I was like, wow. I was mesmerized. I was like, she has such beautiful bubbly glutes.
like I can show you what I'm talking about. But that's all like genetic. But honestly, I think you're very when I look at you, I think you're very well put together. It's just maybe I don't know what the judges' feedback is. What was your last feedback from your last show that you needed to improve on? Like if you
So
just
for
saw
my pro
this,
debut, I was just too lean for the pro debut. We went like way too far off. But for Universe, everything was good overall. The only feedback that I've ever received to work on is to make sure that my quads don't overpower. So I have to be
yeah.
very careful with the type of movements that I, execute in the gym to ensure that they don't overpower. Yeah,
You know what I'm
I
saying?
love
Like she has shorter inserts, kind of like what you have.
yeah.
Let me see.
I'm like, well, I'm just trying to hip thrust as much as possible right now. To try to get close to that with the pros.
Okay, let me see. Is there a back pose here? See, you have
Yeah.
shorter. They're much longer. They're a little longer than hers, but from the back, you're very snatched. That's what I like. Versus, I see some people where it's like they're longer and they're kind of wide in the back. This is amazing. Like right here,
Yeah.
that can win a lot of shows. I'm not saying that because I'm saying that right now. I really see that happening.
Thank you. I'm like, I hope so.
Yeah. So you said about so we talk about being mentally more mature. Do you feel like a 20-year-old Karla would be like ready to be a pro? Like I said, like you don't become a champion just and it happens and you take it in. You become a champion when you're mentally and physically ready for that. Do you feel like now you're more in
Yes,
line
definitely.
and you're like,
Honestly, like, yeah, I always say, I probably could have gotten my pro card sooner if I would have taken different steps and avenues. But you're right. I agree with you. You don't become a champion just like physically. You also have to be mentally there. And yes, I don't think probably even like 5, 6 years ago, I probably still didn't have that mentality that was necessary, to be honest. I feel like I've grown a lot as an athlete over the last 5 years or so. And my perspective has just completely changed. So yeah, no, I
yeah,
definitely don't think that the Karla in her early 20s would have been able to do any of this right now.
yeah. And the reason why, because the name of this podcast with Pro Bikini News Network is GTE, which means greater than ever. Because I always feel like people can be greater than they are before when they believe in themselves and they can go out and perform. It's more than just, I always say that you're more than an athlete. There are many things that you can do, even outside the stage and how you represent yourself. And, you're a great role model to your kids. And I'm pretty sure when they see their mom, they're going to say, my mom is awesome. They see them,
Yeah,
you on stage, you're making them very proud. So
thank
that's
you.
something that you can always cherish. So I don't know if you want to do this, if you want to play this game. You want to
Uh-huh.
do predictions for the Arnold?
Oh my gosh.
Give Give me your
Honestly,
top
I
10.
have not kept up with everybody. I haven't kept up with everybody. I have to be honest. I'm going to be 100% biased because all I see is Jazzy every day. I love Jazzy's physique. Like, I don't know. I just love her. I feel like, again, I have not seen, oh my God, what is the other girl's name? Jamie's athlete that's like amazing as well.
Amy?
Amy. Yeah, I haven't seen what she looks like. I don't know if she's posted anything recently, but I'd say she's definitely in the top five, right?
Yeah.
My other favorite is also always going to be, oh my gosh, I'm telling you, I'm terrible with names, but the blonde, love her physique. Ashley.
Ashlyn. Yeah.
I would love for her to be in top five as well. That would be amazing. Other than that, I don't know. What do you think?
So I did post my video, but here are my picks. Hold on. So I'm like very like I don't know how this is gonna go. I'm like between like the top four girls. I'm like I think either one of them can win the show. Everyone's saying Jazzy's a favorite because she's third, but I mean it can go either way. So I have Jazzy, Amy, Ashlyn, Vanya, Ari, Maria, Jordan, Angelica, Tamikia, and Stasi. But I feel like
Yeah.
from first through fourth they could win, and then like 5, 6, 7 they could be third, fourth, and I'd like to see someone surprise us. Like to
Yeah,
me,
that would be
Ariana looks
awesome.
like a Miss Olympia. Yeah.
Who?
Ariana Brothers, she looks like a Miss Olympia to me.
Yeah, she has an incredible waist. Like her genetics are very like wow factor as well. I will say though, Amy did not come in fully there for Olympia. That was definitely not a 100% Amy. So I feel
Yeah,
like if Amy comes in 100%, she's very easily, you know, for number one or second place. I think.
yeah,
But like I said, I agree with you as far as Ariana. Like her waist is amazing, and obviously she has great glutes and everything, great posing. Jazzy, I absolutely love her. I don't know. Again, I'm biased because I've always wanted her to be like at the top. I feel like she's one of those people
Yeah.
that has always been like climbing and climbing and just never really fully cracked it till last year. So I would love to see her win, to be
And
honest.
when I had her on, she's, and this is something I think I could tell you. She doesn't expect herself to do well. Like she's just like, okay, if I'm top 10, I get to go to the final stage. I'm happy. Because her first
Yeah, she's
Olympia,
so
she
humble.
qualified on points. Yeah. Yeah, she qualified on points on her first Olympia. She didn't win a pro show, and she got ninth. Ashlyn got eighth when she qualified on points, and I think, oh my God, what's her name? Brina Martinez, she was 10th. They didn't win a show at all, and they all qualified on points. But Jazzy then went to 21. She had a pro win, but then was last call out. And I always looked at her like she is a top 5 girl someday. And this past Olympia is like, maybe you're gonna get. I was like, well, maybe 10, 11, 12. And then she was in the first call, and she gets third. I was like, what? So you went
Yeah,
from last
honestly,
call out to all the way to third.
yeah, I was
She
surprised
didn't
too.
expect that. She's like, I hope to get these 10.
No, I've always thought she belonged in top five. I've always thought that, at least for the last 3 years or so, top five, top six. But when she got third, I was also pretty surprised that it was that high, right? But I'm sorry, again, I'm not keeping up too well. But is Maureen doing Arnold after all?
No, unfortunately, she dropped out.
Okay. So, because like all of those aspects did play quite a different scenario in Olympia, right? So we would have had Maureen in there, and again, Amy, 100%. Things could have looked very different, in my opinion.
Yeah,
Because of the type of body types that they all have.
yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. We'll see how it goes this time, but. I would love to see Jazzy win. Again, I want to see Amy come in 100% because I'm also like, wow, I'm a fan of her physique. She has an amazing physique. And yeah,
Yeah.
everybody else, we'll see.
Well, the live stream is free. I'm actually going to be going live, and then I'm going to do a recap watching the video from the Arnold. So I'm excited to talk about that. But anything you want to close with? Any shout outs you want to give?
No, nothing specific. Thank you for having me. I'm honestly very excited also for the Arnold this weekend. I'm definitely gonna be glued to the TV, always trying to learn. And yeah, I'm definitely gonna be looking out for your predictions and everything. I really enjoy, like I said, your Instagram. It's really good content.
Yeah, thank you. And I'm also trying to grow the YouTube and bring some sort of value, not just talk about shows, but also get to know the athletes, bring them on, and kind of know their story and what got them into this, and what are some things that people can learn from. And I think people can learn from you and in your experience in life, and they can go and say, hey, you know what? It's never too late, and I can do this. And I think that honestly, I think you can qualify for the Olympia this year. I
Oh,
honestly
thank you
believe
so
that.
much. Literally, that means a lot to me. Honestly, like your support. Like I said, I feel like you have an amazing eye for bikini, and just people in general. That always keeps my spirits up to continue to strive to just be a better athlete.
Yeah. Well, Karla, I really appreciate you coming on. Listen, I'm gonna check out. I'm gonna actually recommend people in El Paso to Macro Lab if they don't want to cook any food. You guys make some
Yes,
awesome food out
send
there,
them
yeah.
over.
And I hope to have you on as well again and see how things go. And I wish you the best of luck in this season. When your first show comes, I'm definitely gonna be watching out for you. And I wish you qualify for the Olympia this year. I hope to see you in Las Vegas this year on the Olympia stage.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate you so much. I appreciate you having me
All right.
on. Have a great night.
All right. Thank you. You take care.
Bye.
Bye.